Dear Rinpoche La, dear friends, on behalf of Sakya friends, I express greetings to everyone. We are so grateful for the kindness of Lama Choedak Rinpoche, who will bestow the teaching on positive emotions. Many thanks to all the translators in the Zoom chat. At the end of today's event, you may also find texts. We will start very soon. Thank you for joining. Dear translators, please start the recording. Dear Rinpoche La, we can start.
Hello everyone, wherever you are, whatever time zone there appears to be. Thank you very much once again to Sakya friends and all the translators availing their time to do this session. So tonight we are having a teaching on the 11 wholesome emotions or 11 virtuous thoughts. So to do these teachings, we already have a wholesome thought by believing that this is good, you're going to be good. So thank you everyone. We will first do the refuge prayer and for immeasurables, believing in the teaching and honoring the Buddha and rejoicing the Dharma and be grateful to the Sangha is a very important expression at the very beginning. So join your hands at the heart, and maybe there are others in your life, your parents, your friends, your family, and your colleagues who you have very good reason to rejoice and be very grateful to them, thank them as we say these prayers, so that this teaching that we are going to do will prompt us to learn how to cultivate wholesome thoughts towards our friends, towards the strangers, and even toward those who are not so friendly towards us. And then overcome their not so wholesome thoughts towards us and others. Maybe be armored by these teachings so that we can learn to help very, very positively speaking. So, with this in mind, you recollect the triple gem and their qualities, and we pay physical respect by joining hands at the heart, and verbal by reciting the refuge, and from your heart believing in this endeavor. So with this in mind, we will say the refuge prayer and then generate the loving kindness for others, compassion for sentient beings who are suffering, and the joyful about good things that they are temporarily there. They are good things that, however fleeting and short-lived there are still many good things. So we should rejoice them and rejoice them again and again. It doesn't. There's no punishment if we repeat the rejoicing. The more the merrier, they call it. The more times you rejoice, that many times you are wholesome, and the more times you are able to remain equanimous, neither to attach to someone nor to angry to them, seeing the futility of both, and then having some kind of calmness and acceptance that things will change. This kind of equanimity. So when we chant these prayers, please bring your attention to that. Thank you. Oh, in the Buddha Dharma Sangha, I take refuge, enlightenment by virtue of you and Allah. I shall Buddha to be in the Buddha Dharma Sangha, I dare it light them by virtue of you and Allah. I shall Buddha to be in the Buddha Dhamma Sangha, I refuge enlightenment by virtue of you and Allah. I shall Buddha beings. May all beings have happiness and the cause of happiness. May they be free from suffering and the cause of suffering. May they never part from happiness that knows no suffering. May they dwell in equanimity, free from attachment and aversion to those near and far. May all beings have happiness and cause of happiness. May they be free from suffering and a cause of suffering. May they never part from the happiness that knows no suffering. May they dwell in equanimity, free from attachment and aversion to those near and far. May all beings have happiness and cause of happiness. May they be free from suffering and a cause of suffering. May they never part from happiness that knows no suffering. May they dwell in equanimity, free from attachment and aversion to those near and far. According to the intelligent and predisposition of it, we ask that you turn the Dharma with all great love and common vehicles. So with that formality of doing the refuge, doing the 4 immeasurables, and formally requesting to the giving of the teachings, now we can uh, specifically bring our attention to the topic of tonight's teaching. The origin of this topic of this teaching comes from the writings of Asanga in a text called Abhidharma Samuchaya, which is sometimes called Upper Abhidharma. Abhidharma is a really metaphysical Buddhist text, which is all taught by the Buddha, by the way. Buddha taught the subject covering all metaphysical things, all the nature of the mind and deluded mind and contaminated mind and how a purified mind, and said a lot about the mind in many different discourses. And later on, many Indian masters like Asanga extracted some of the Buddha's teachings and put them in different categories of topics and books. So therefore there is a text called Abhidharma Samuchaya, which means compendium of supreme science. Abhidharma means, Abhi means supreme or manifest. Dharma means phenomena. Manifest phenomena means how to bring out to light about the nature of phenomena. So it mainly covers the metaphysical phenomena about mind. So that's why tonight's topic is, out of the 51 mental factors, there are 11 of those emotions are positive and wholesome. So we are going to go over those, define what each of those 11 wholesome mental factors are, and then classify the categories, different types, and their function. Generally speaking, the word wholesome means that if it's a wholesome, it is positive. It's a positive thought. In modern terms, they call intelligent emotions. Intelligent means very clever emotions. When you're not clever in choosing your emotion, you become dumb and stupid and negative. And so therefore, when we say wholesome emotions, meaning it has the ability to remedy the opposite of the wholesome. So whenever it is negative, it has ability to remedy that. Wholesome emotion. So when we talk about each of these 11 wholesome emotion, you will have to think, okay, what has this eliminated? Wholesome meaning of what has it eliminated, its opposite. So let's go through each of them. If you have wholesome emotion, it brings a lot of happiness and joy and goodness. It almost lit yourself up. And so therefore they are not, they're also conditioned by various objects, subjects, and conditions. So wholesome emotions has to be consciously cultivated to be beneficial, to be harmless, and to do good for the sake of the other and oneself and the future. So when you are able to have wholesome emotions, you have to be very holistic. You have to be very positive. You have to be in a very good space. They say, give me some space. Yes. Why? Because if you're not in a good space, you could not author wholesome emotions. You are instead pushed to become negative and unwholesome. So therefore, we have to learn how to be subjectively cognizant of our own thoughts an emotion, whether they are wholesome or not. And in order to do that, we have to identify what is unwholesome emotions. And if we know what is unwholesome emotion, we have to know how to eliminate them from our mental space so that we actually create a vacancy of unwholesome emotions. Ability to eliminate unwholesome emotions is wholesome, intelligent emotions. I hope I'm not too fast for you. Our translators are now getting a little bit more used to, maybe, to me. So hopefully I'm not racing along. Um, so believe that I will not have a belief tonight that I will not race along. That's a wholesome emotion. Believe that you will be able to make a good job by translating whatever you can best synthesize the essence of what you heard, in your language, because translation is not easy, You have to understand the word and then understand the definition and then able to explain your language. So I know what's like to be a translator. But I'm translating these words from Tibetan as I speak. So I'm also just one of the many translators here. So we are all in the same boat. We are in a good company. So how wonderful it is. Okay, so wholesome emotion generally have a positivizing yourself, becoming very, very positive, very optimistic, and because of that, your mind is not likely to be arrested by any of the destructive emotions. So it's a conscious awareness within which conscious of the consciousness then selects the wholesome, productive, useful, sane, kind, and caring thoughts. And when you have wholesome emotions, you can you can output the wholesome emotion with a very kind, tender, loving, caring word you will speak, and bodily manners and behavior you can reveal. As a result of that, wholesome emotions are good conduct, cause of good conduct. When we don't have wholesome emotions, we feel pushed by something forcibly to lose our conscious effort, and we just got hijacked or arrested by destructive emotions. So that's just a general kind of statement remark before I go into each of the 11 wholesome emotions. First of the wholesome emotion is faith. Faith, and now faith means having a very positive thought that actually makes yourself believe. You have a sense of belief in something without clouded by doubt, because faith, actually, one who has faith, faith precedes all virtuous activities. Faith is the preliminary before you can do any positive deeds by the body, before you can say kind things, or before you can feel a positive emotion in yourself. You have to have faith that if I said this, if I did this, if I didn't do this, you know exactly what. So you have this amazing kind of clarity. It makes yourself to increase and boost your morale. It dispels hesitation. It rescues us from the doubt and anxiety. So faith is the source of all the attainments. Buddha had faith that he should sit under the tree and practice 6 years to win enlightenment. He's a forerunner of his enlightenment, forerunner of his discipline and meditation was faith. If I put simply easier analogy, faith is like a good seed for our crops. If you have good seed, then the seed will grow when it is planted in the right soil and the water and the air and all other conditions. So faith is like a healthy seed. So here, so faith means, because faith eliminates doubt. Faith eliminates disbelief. Faith eliminates indecisions. Faith makes you to become focused. Faith empowers you to make decisions and follow through. And so it almost like a farmer who know his seed in his possession. He knows if he plant them, they will grow. He doesn't mind throwing the seed onto the field. You know, he might put 20 kilos of seed into the empty land. Other people might think, what the hell he's doing, throwing all this 20 kilos of seed. But the farmer knows that the seed that he has strewn will grow in a couple of months' time into a beautiful harvest. So you have to have belief. So there are 3 types of faiths. So the first one is called lucid faith. Lucid faith means clear faith. Your mind is so clear. The farmer is so clear that he wanted to plant 20 kilos of seed on the 5th of June or whatever it is. You know, he knows clearly where to throw. He knows that if he plant the seed on the field, it will grow. He has this lucid faith. Lucid means clarity. He's very clear. So an example of lucid faith is you have lucid faith that Buddha, Dharma, and the Sangha, and refuge in the Dharma, and believe in the teachings. It is, clearly it is good for you. If you meditate, if you pray, if you study, it's very good. So you're very clear. So this is called lucid faith. Very, very clear. So what does the lucid faith do? It prevents doubt, hesitation, disbelief. Yeah? And the second faith is aspirational faith. Aspirational faith means you don't just think it's good, but you actually want that result. The farmer doesn't only knows that the seed will grow, but he wants to plant the seed to grow more. He is not planting one seed to get another seed. He's aspiring to make it abundant bucket. If he plant 20 kilos, he probably have 200 kilos. He aspires, he desires to get good crops. Likewise, when you study Dharma and meditate and do your practices and mantra recitations, you develop wholesome emotion and not doubting your practice. Thinking, I received the empowerment, this teaching, should I do this, shouldn't I do this? And not doubting, but you just have faith, lucid faith, that is good for me to do. So, and not only you have lucid faith, but you have aspirational faith. You aspire And then the third one is called trusting faith. Trusting faith, you know for sure that it is already helping you. So it's a belief. It's a belief in, you don't have to doubt, you don't have to question, you don't hesitate, you just have faith. You're a believer in Dharma. So Buddhism cannot be practiced without beliefs, okay? So if people out there are thinking Buddhism can be practiced without belief, forget it. They don't have the first wholesome emotion. They are doubters. They have big doubts. And they probably will be consumed by it. So therefore, we have to eliminate, means just remove those doubts, those hesitation. Then we have the wholesome emotion of faith. You know, if you have faith, you know that if you have faith, you can see yourself changing, much more positive and optimistic. And they call placebo effect. So faith is a very positive emotion. There's no doubt about that. So following any spirituality, they even call, what is your faith? So if people say, what is your faith? You say, my faith is Buddhism or something. Of course, the Buddhism is not your faith, but you believe in Buddhism and its teachings and its practices and its guidance and its teachings, its doctrine. So you believe in that. And you are not giving room to doubting anymore. Because if you have wholesome emotion, you will not allow any doubt, any kind of anxiety, worry, fear. All of these will not have a grip on you. So that is faith. This is first of all 11 emotion, positive emotion. The second is in Tibetan we say ngotsa shepa. Ngotsa shepa means have an ability to know how to feel ashamed. So that meaning that you know you're very conscientious about your own thoughts and behavior to be able to have a sense of shame. So therefore, if you have sense of shame, it will prevent you, it will give you a positive emotion, because you will you fear that you might bring shame by your physical behavior, or by the way you speak to somebody, or by the way you are thinking about something with some kind of ill will and anger. You feel sense of shame. I am so ashamed to have anger towards him or her about that issue. So when you become subjectively conscientious about the shamefulness of being angry to someone or being miserly about something, so you actually become very, very conscientious to feel what you're thinking and doing or saying in your mind is very ashamed. You really don't feel good. So being able to fear the shame, sense of shame, is a positive emotion. You know why? Because it hastens. It makes you to hesitate doing wrong things, saying wrong words, and doing bad deeds. It almost it warns you the negative consequences and the shame to yourself if you think this, say this, did this, or perceive this, feel this. So you become very subjectively conscientious. So it's a very emotionally very wholesome, because you are able to warn yourself, you better not to do this, you better not think this. If you do, it will bring me shame. You don't need other people. You yourself feel ashamed. Yeah. So it's a very, very subjective self-conscientiousness. So that's the second of the 11 positive emotions. The third one is the fear of embarrassment. Actually, the third one and second one is very, very similar, except it is more fear of what other people might think of you. So the second one, second one is fear of embarrassment. Is if I said this, if I did this, if I thought of this, he will think I'm pushy, I'm greedy. So therefore, you feel embarrassed in telling yourself more, saying that if I did this, he will think of this, he will get upset. This will bring embarrassment to myself. Why? How did I can dare to do such a thing? So you become more conscientious about the well-being and consideration of other people. So we can call it, he is very considerate to other people. Yeah. So the third one, which is a fear of embarrassment, and means you have a sense of ability to feel embarrassed because whatever you do has consequences to others. So, and in Tibetan commentaries, they say these two, sense of shame and fear of embarrassment, are actually very similar. The first one is more about feeling shameful for yourself, even if other people didn't know anything about it, you feel ashamed. But the third one is fear of being embarrassed to having to go in front of those people, and so on. So this second and third is very, very similar, but it's more to do with the consideration of your well-being and consideration of the well-being of others. So you become positively conscious of sense of shame for yourself and a sense of fear of embarrassing your brother or your relatives, because if you did something wrong, all your family will be embarrassed, or they will also be ashamed. Why? Because what you did without any consideration of the consequences to your people. So often you will notice that when you are mindful, you are abstaining a lot of deeds or words on thoughts, fearing that it will bring embarrassment to your Dharma friends, to your teacher, to your fellow practitioner, to your mother, to your fellow Sangha. And so this is very, very wholesome emotion, in the sense you are considerate to your fellow people, and because of that you are very, very wholesome, holistically minding your bodily behavior, uh, your minding what you say and what you don't say, because you don't want to bring embarrassment to your friend or to your colleagues, whatever. And so because of that you become much more considerate. So these two are not that hard to understand. The sense of shame, and then the fear of embarrassment, fear of embarrassment. So those are the first three, and then the fourth one is in the Tibetan text it is called non-attachment. Or non-attachment means that it's a positive mental factor uh, which functions directly opposite to attachment. Because attachment to self, attachment to your body, attachment to your status, all of these, we know it brings arrogance, it brings self indulgence, and so in order not to do attachment, you try to practice detachment. So if you know how to practice detachment, means not a non-attachment, It's a gateway to freedom. Non-attachment is gateway to freedom. Uh, it is like a rope. It is like a rope that can yeah. It is attachment is like a rope. It binds you in samsara, and detachment is that which releases you from samsara. If you're some people suffering, not some people, most people suffering is due to attachment. They attach to their views, to their opinions, to their status, to their health, to their looks. And when their looks are changing and like say they're no longer looking young or strong, then they suffer. So non-attachment is even you do become old and you lose your physical stamina and you grow, your hair become gray and you covered in wrinkles and so on. You will not suffer. If you're not attached to your youth and beauty, you will not suffer. So it's wholesome emotion of non-attachment is that we should learn to not become attached, because if you attach, you are like a puppet of suffering. You don't have any say but suffering, because all suffering is caused by attachment, and now you know how to detach yourself. Not only detach from objects and things, but detach from your views, your opinions, your traits, your habits, your patterns. Like a person who is not attached to drinking, he no longer has a danger of abusing alcohol. Why? Because he's not attached to the flavor, to the drink, the place they sell the drinks, type of friends they go out together with. They're not attached to go out with those people. Because when they go out with those people, they all go and drink. So you're not attached to drinking. So you're also not attached to going out with that person. And also you're not attached to wasting your time. And people who are not attached, they're free. They're liberated. They don't have this addiction to go to places with people, do those things every so often. They're totally detached. So non-attachment is the cause of uh, renunciation. If you're not attached to this life, you can practice Dharma because you are investing for future. You're not attached to this life. It says that if you're attached to this life, you are not a Dharma practitioner. So we have to practice as if we are not attached to this life. This life, with whatever hardships, difficulties you endure, you endure. You be patient with them because you're not attached to this life. And you're not attached to your selfish purposes, and then you don't mind whatever hardships you have to go through. You still do the good Dharma work, good, kind, compassionate, generous work you do, because you're not attached to your personal benefit. And when we are not attached to what how much we want to earn from doing this or that, then you are able to do everything you love, like study Dharma, practice meditation. You can do them. You're free to do because you're not attached to your work. You're not workaholic. you know, you may have not been alcoholic, but you're a workaholic. I hope I can understand the English. Workaholic, they call it. Means you're working like not just in the office, but even at home. You're never free from work. You never take time to go to the temple, do social work, do Dharma work. You're always addicted to your work. You're so attached. So non-attachment means it gives you some peace every Saturday or every once a week or a couple of hours every day or something. You are able to do because you're not attached to going to the pub. You're not attached to going to the stadium. You're not attached to going to play mahjong. Uh, you're not attached to go with friends every Saturday. You are infinite, have faith in the Dharma, and so exactly opposite. So it makes you free. It gives you lots of freedom. When you have non-attachment, you have a lot of freedom, and you're not attached to samsara. So therefore, you're not always worried about how you should look, what you wear, whether your jacket matches the shoes, or whether your shoe matches the bag, all that sort of thing. You become like a yogi. He doesn't even know whether he's wearing the right shoes or on the right foot or left foot. He doesn't mind. He's not attached to his looks. So most of the yogis are not attached to their looks. So then they are very blissful. When you're not attached, you are very blissful. So non-attachment to self, to the body, to your views. If you're not attached to your views, you won't have argument with your mother or your father or your wife or husband. Even you have past argument, you let them go. You just give up your attachment to your view. Now all our ability to become non-attached to our views or opinion, you will make friends with others because you may have difference, but you're no longer attached to your differences. Very good, very practical, very wholesome emotion. And if you're not attached to comfort, you can go to retreat. If you're not attached to kind of enjoyment, entertainment, you're not attached to your smartphone, you will have time to practice. You know, you can close your phone for whole half day. No, you will miss nothing. So you can actually practice. The non-attachment is very important. Um, we're talking about the person is completely free. Now he's free from his attachment, free from his addiction, and free from needing to go out with those people, free from having to waste so many hours each weekend doing those things. One actually knows how precious our time is, how limited our time is. So we are not attached to wasting time for indulgence, and therefore we are readily able to practice. So when you're not attached to your past, you will have freedom today. Most people are not happy today because they're attached to the past. Past, you can never go and retrieve it. But yet people are so attached. So you have to practice non-attachment to past. How do you know you have non-attachment past? You don't talk about he did this, she did this, I didn't do this, I did all this for him, but he doesn't do anything. You don't talk like that. Because you're not attached to what you did. You're not attached to what people did. You can see them as a chain that binds you. You're attached to what you did. You're attached to what people didn't do, and then you're angry at them. See, very very problem. So why it's wholesome is it empowers you to sever, cut the root of the suffering, non-attachment. This is non-attachment. I will give you a very colorful analogy of non-attachment. He says, what's the non-attachment like? He says, you can throw up your dinner after eating, you vomit, yeah? Yeah, it should be like a vomit. You will never go and leak your vomit, will you? So like that, you should detach yourself and not wanting to do anything with it anymore. So therefore, non-attachment, people who are non-attached to, they are very free. So to overcome our attachment, we should therefore practice renunciation from samsara, renunciation from this life, renunciation to me, today, body, and comfort. You shouldn't look this short-sightedly just for me today on the body. So if you have non-attachment to self and the body and the today and this life, then you will have freedom from attachment to these four. And then you will be able to think to do things for others, not for self, not for the comfort of the body, but for the benefit of the mind. And not just for this life or this samsara, but for next life and for future benefit. So you will be able to holistically think about investing your time and effort for the future. So that's why it's called the non-attachment is a very wholesome emotion. If you're not attached uh, to to say things, objects, even if somebody took it away, maybe your son took your car, or your daughter won the piano, and whatever it is, you just feel so happy that they had it. You're not attached to the piano. You're not attached to the car. You're not attached to. Just you wish them well, and you don't have a burden to become attached to it. So when you are not attached, it is already starting to make wholesome. Your life, you're physically no stress, mentally no attachment, verbally do not talk about that what you're missing and why you wanted it. You don't miss anything. And when you have no attachment, you don't miss anything. People say, "Did you miss me?" And then they say, "Yes, I did." They like each other missing. They miss you attached to each other. It's terrible. So, as a Buddhist practitioner who want to practice this fourth wholesome practice, you don't say, "I miss you." You don't say that. You say, "Out of sight, out of mind. It was good you weren't there." Say that for the sake of teasing each other, whether we have non-attachment or not. See, non-attachment doesn't mean not caring. Okay, people misunderstood the Buddha when he left his wife and child and so on. They thought he didn't care. No, he practiced non-attachment because most people don't have the emotional fitness to be able to practice non-attachment to his family, to his comfort, to his bed, to his palace, to his incredible palace life. He's not attached to any of that. He doesn't. It looked like he doesn't care. It's not like that. So non-attachment is socially very difficult. People think you don't care about them. But what is caring means you just cling, very, very gooey and very sticky and holding each other. And so neither helps each other. When they're not together, they want to be together. When they're together, they hate each other. So that's the problem of attachment. So if you have non-attachment, even you're together, it's not a problem. You do things for each other, but you're not attached to what they should do to you because you did this to them. You did to them because you want to. Doesn't matter whether they do anything reciprocal or not. Most of the time, we are attached to who we do things to, what we gave things to. So we attach to either the object or the thing we did. If you have non-attachment, then you do random kindness to whoever needs your effort, and therefore you're not attached to the recipient of your kindness nor the act that you performed, because you practice with non-attachment. So you have to be very, very wholesome. You have to be fairly realized to not get attached to things. It's what we were saying before. We have to aspire to practice non-attachment. We have to wish to practice non-attachment. We have faith that non-attachment is good. That's a lucid faith, yeah? lucid faith is that non-attachment is good. We aspire to practice non-attachment, but maybe we really trust, we believe the non-attachment is good, because we have practiced non-attachment, detachment, a few things, and now you no longer have any problem with it. So that you actually can believe that non-attachment is very wholesome, very positive outcome. Why? You didn't lose anything. You got freedom. You got freedom from suffering. Because attachment is cause of suffering, non-attachment is cause of happiness. I mean, can't you see the difference? One is poison, one is medicine. Of course, when you're wholesome, when you have a sane mind, you will choose the medicine, wouldn't you? But people who do not know which is which, they choose the poison, thinking it's medicine. So non-attachment is being able to practice non-attachment. We should have faith in the Dharma, and we should have a sense of shame if we don't have faith in the Dharma. People put faith in people. People are deluded. Nobody is 100% reliable. They're all deluded. They have their own karma. They are completely out of control by themselves. So you can't put faith in people. And the Buddha said, rely on Dharma, not on people. See, you have to have that faith. You have to believe in that saying. Rely on Dharma, not on people. So, if you believe in that, that's a lucid faith, yeah. And then you have a sense of shame if you didn't rely on the Dharma, yeah. And you feel embarrassed to other people if you don't rely on people, but you always rely on people. Instead of Dharma, you always rely on people. So you feel embarrassed. Yeah, you're always attached to people. You're worshiping people. You're not really following Dharma. You're really following status and name and reputation of somebody. You're not really looking for Dharma. So when you really have faith in the Dharma that's lucid and aspiring and believe, you have this sense of shame if you don't follow the Dharma, if you have fear of embarrassment if you don't, and therefore you need to practice non-attachment. So you can intersect all these first four wholesome emotions like that. You can actually see they're all mutually inclusive. When you have faith, you will also have sense of shame. You have fear of embarrassment. And then you will be able to practice non-attachment. so they got snowballs, And then the fifth wholesome emotion is lack of ill will or resentment, lack of resentment. Yeah. Now this is very important. The Tibetan says the lack of hate. So lack of resentment. Yeah. It is not that some people didn't do this or that upset you, but you don't have any resentment. You see the futility, you see the wastefulness, you see the childishness. It gets you nothing out of it. It only troubles you. So you just fed up with ill will. You don't want to do any ill will. You don't want to do any ill will. It's a very great empowerment, this one. We should have called tonight the empowerment of non-ill will. So do no ill will. Have the positive emotion. Check with your mind whether you're doing ill will or not. And you become witness to your own mind whether you're doing ill will or not. If you're doing ill will, you quickly expel it. You get rid of that ill will. And so that's why meditation isn't just sitting still and emptying your mind. It's just like keeping like a guard. You become like a guard at the door. Make sure that ill will doesn't lurk in you. So maybe you can recite Om Mani Padme Hum, you can recite the Red Tara, whatever. It's so that you can guard your mind to cultivate wholesome emotion, to have no ill will and resentment in that in your mind stream. So you deliberately pray, meditate, study, so that you do not do ill will. If you notice that you're doing ill will, you quickly identify that, and then you do not do you try to get rid of it. So the ill will towards people, towards past things that people did, towards the present things that what are the people doing harmful thing to you or your friends, and ill will thinking that they may do some bad things to you in the future. All of these are ill will about past, ill will about future, ill will about present. And because of that, you see, we are completely stressed by ill will. Ill will is this kind of negative thoughts and kind of vicious thought of maligning bad things to other people, wishing him not to succeed, wishing him not to win the election. This kind of thing is called ill will. And wishing that red car doesn't overtake you, that's ill will. So be watch out when you're driving on the road. If the red car is about to overtake you, and if it's safe, you should let them go. And no, without any ill will. Don't mind that they overtook you, and just send goodwill. May they reach safely and a little bit earlier, 2 seconds. Maybe they are more reason to go than I am. See, no ill will. No ill will that somebody overtook you. Very good. But otherwise, you're just beeping at them, blowing the horns for they just went only split second ahead of you. You become upset. That's ill will. You just resent it, and then whole day you're really upset that person overtook you, cut you, that sort of thing. But you, as a practitioner of a wholesome emotions, you don't do ill will. You're not attached to getting, a couple of meters ahead of the red car. See, non-attachment. Non-attachment. You're not attached to get ahead of somebody. And you are not resentful that they did go ahead of you. You can be really cognizant in your everyday life's pursuits whether you are doing ill will or not. You just wish the person didn't overtake you even though they did, and then you're resenting a whole time. You just hate when people cut me, they say. you should feel, let them cut. Only if they reach home safely, I will be very happy. So you don't do ill will, you see. See, this is the exactly you practice. Lack of ill will is goodwill, isn't it? Lack of ill will is goodwill. And when you have a goodwill, you don't have ill will. You don't have resentment. The mind cannot do two things at once. So if you do goodwill, you can't do ill will. So lack of ill will is you're busy doing goodwill. So when you're reciting Om Mani Padme Hum, or may I not forget bodhicitta, may I not forget bodhicitta, may I practice bodhicitta. So this is so that you will do no ill will, no resentment. So you can, with regard to these wholesome emotions, you become always your own. You become your own inspector. You are introspecting your own mind and emotional direction, and you are able to pilot them towards the wholesome. You are able to dissuade them becoming negative, and then you find yourself absence of ill will. Even though the person, red car, cut you and horn you and give you a nasty look, but you don't have any ill will to the nasty look. He must have a lot of stress at work, at home, that he has to go and drive like this. Poor man, let him be happy. May let him be happy, and may I be able to do something to make him happy. You think like that. See, that's a That's you're not doing ill will. So not doing ill will. Not doing ill will. Remember, ill will is the thing you're doing. Ill will is not a thing itself. Ill will is what you unconsciously doing. When people are conscientious, they will not want themselves to be in the state of ill will. So wholesomeness of the emotions is that it doesn't allow the negative emotion to precipitate. So you are constantly on the guard, you know. And that's what the Shanti Deva says. What is the great need to be mindful than to mind the body, mind the mind, you know? He says, there's no greater task, there's no greater power than to mind your own mind, so that it doesn't do ill will, so that it doesn't do attachment. So this kind of cognitive awareness, you are witness to your own mentality and your attitudes. You know, maybe you can make a small bumper sticker tonight. Mind your attitudes. Mind your attitudes. You know, so it's you can put that on a door. You know, mind your attitude, because usually on the door there's a mind your head, or they say mind your step or something. You can probably say mind your attitude. Make some stickers and give to friends. Mind your attitudes. As soon as they see that, they remember, oh, they should watch their attitudes. Are they busy doing ill will? Or are they busy doing regret, and guilt, and suspicion, doubt? All this is destructive emotion, remember? So now you have the sense of shame, sense of embarrassment if you did any of that. So therefore you have this moral dignity and confidence and commitment not to do ill will, not to do attachment. So this therefore greatly reforms and informs you, because you are now cognizant, meaning you are able to see your own thoughts and emotions, whether they're destructive or intelligent or wholesome. If they're wholesome emotion, how do you know it's wholesome? You feel very serene, clear, confident, and lucidly faithful in your own being useful friend to yourself. You have this amazing competence and confidence when you are busy doing these first 5 wholesome emotions. And you could actually witness yourself consciously the positive effect of doing wholesome emotions. That when you're doing a wholesome emotion, it makes your body feel light and the mind feels spacious, heart feels soft. Your mouth is very, very careful choosing words. And you're very tender and loving and caring. And people will love you for that, you know. And you will make everybody happy. Why? Because you are doing wholesome emotions. When you have faith in the practice, in the Dharma, in the constructiveness of what you can do, your daily commitment, if you don't do it, you feel shame. Oh, I'm not doing it. Oh, you feel embarrassed with your fellow practitioner. Oh, I'm doing it. And so you are detached from your idleness. You detach from your lack of discipline. See, now you're practicing non-attachment. You're not attached to your laziness. You're not attached to sleeping late. You're not attached to drinking. You're not attached to wasting time. You are instead very, very detached from being lazy, detached from becoming ill will, have anger and resentment and so on. So you can see the incredible difference the wholesome emotion do. When you are doing wholesome emotion, you become conscious. You're truly wakeful. You're now awake. You're now eyes open, because otherwise your eyes are waxed. You can't open it because it hurts. Now you're not only eyes are open, but it just gives you liberation. Now you know how not to do ill will. You may look good, you dress well, you have a good job, you live in a nice house, but it's even better if you're not doing ill will. Even you dress very well, got a high paid job, and drive a nice car, live in a nice house, and so on. But inside you are covered in shit if you're doing ill will, if you're doing resentment, if you're doing attachment. Now you are able to see this because you're wholesome. You're able to have the mind in your own hand. We call in Mahayana Buddhism Padmapani. That's better than becoming Chenrezig. Avalokitesha is holder of lotus. Now you no longer have ill will. You're no longer doing ill will. Why? Because you are practicing the wholesome emotion of absence of ill will. That is real Chenrezig. Chenrezig, Avalokitesha, is a just visual image, reminder for you to practice the quality that is wholesome emotions. So that's why real deity is wholesome emotions. We have to do wholesome emotions. And by doing wholesome emotion, we are rejecting unwholesome emotions. And you can tell your mind is so soft and heart is so gentle. Your perception is so kind and positive when you are not doing any unwholesome emotion, because you're doing wholesome emotion. One is bitter, other is sweet. When you're doing wholesome emotions, it doesn't matter whether you wear whether your jacket and shoe matches the color or not, but inside you're so blissful. You don't have any ill will. You don't have any suspicion or fear and insecurity and loneliness and anger or resentment. You don't do any of that. Why? Because you're practicing non-attachment. You're practicing absence of ill will and no resentment. And then the sixth one of the intelligent emotion is non-ignorant. Non-ignorant means you're not ignorant. You know how not to be ignorant. Means you are very, very knowledgeable. You know that what you think matters most. You don't need to know anything. You're not ignorant about the danger and distraction that your mind that is not controlled can harm you. So you're not ignorant the harm caused by ill will and anger and desire and competitiveness and greed and profit-making mentality. You're not ignorant. You're not ignorant of the harm they cause. Because of that, you have this incredible information, what really is the suffering and its causes. You're not ignorant the suffering caused by selfishness. You're not ignorant suffering caused by greediness. You're not ignorant the suffering and problem caused by jealousy. Now you are really, really aware of the danger of ignorance of them, so you are actually avoid yourself from those. Why? You are not ignorant. You know where there is a venomous snake, you don't go there. Likewise, you do not go and recruit your negative, destructive emotions. Why? You're not ignorant. The real harm is caused by our own afflictions and defilements, self-importance, and thinking body is me, and thinking feelings are permanent. All these kind of things, we are ignorant. Now that because we learn Dharma, we are not ignorant. We are not ignorant. Our eyes are open and we are allowed to see things. Now we know we are not ignorant about law of cause and effect. We are not ignorant of benefit of selflessness. We are not ignorant of the harm caused by selfishness. Now we know exactly what is safe and what is dangerous. Because of that, we can't say, I don't know Dharma. You have listened to Dharma on 11 wholesome emotions tonight. It's definitely going to change you because you're not ignorant how to do wholesome emotions. You're not ignorant what the wholesome emotions are. Because of that, you've been introduced to, like you're learning to cook a recipe, You write down, the recipe, huh? You're not ignorant about the recipe. People say, can you give me the recipe? They're just talking about pumpkin cake or something, Oh, they're very keen to get another recipe, because they don't want to be ignorant, not knowing how to make the cake. But wait until you understand Dharma, the recipe for happiness and liberation. So now you're not ignorant that the true cause of happiness is practicing Dharma, being kind, being generous, being forgiving, and you're not ignorant about kindness and merit or benefit of it. You're not sort of looking wrong things because you're not ignorant that kindness is what matters. Who is right and who's wrong does not matter. Even if somebody is relatively more wrong than you are, but it's more important, you're not ignorant that your kindness is what matters most to him. It's not who is right and who is wrong, but knowing how to be kind is really matters. So you're not ignorant about the merit of kindness. You're not ignorant of the harm that will be caused by retaliation, tit for tat, zero tolerance. Zero tolerance got zero benefit, I tell you that. So you're not ignorant of the harm of zero tolerance. So don't use that as your kind of motto. We should practice at least tolerance. If you practice tolerance with difficult people, you're not ignorant of the virtues of tolerance. You have to be kind to the person rather than righteous over him. So not ignorant on the relative level, then also not ignorant about the ultimate level. Ultimately, we are not names, we are not our color, we are not our gender, we are not our nationality. To think we are, we become attached, we become biased, we become very, very discriminatory, and so we know we are not ignorant. We are not names, we are not gender, we just merely labeled. We just for the marginal reason we are just labeled, but we are not the name. So people can't dirty your name because you don't have a name, that's you. So you are not so vulnerable. You're not ignorant. You don't say you hurt me. What is you? What is you? What is you? Your hair, your color, your height, your address. Is your address hurt? Is it? What is you? So we're not ignorant that we are not name. We are merely labeled name, but we are not the name. We are not independently the name. We're just dependently labeled name. So when we now know how to, we're not ignorant. Just if somebody calls you chicken brain, you can laugh at it and you just wouldn't get hurt by it. Because you're not ignorant that what they say is merely what they say, but what they say is not really that. So you don't become chicken brain because somebody calls you chicken brain. uh, because you're not ignorant that these are just merely labeled name. So you don't get, if somebody calls your name, you don't suffer because you're not ignorant that this doesn't matter, you know. You've been called many names and they all sound, we are not ignorant, they're emptiness. So we are not ignorant. So we will have a break. Everyone, thank you. So with that, we have covered the first 6 wholesome emotions. So have a 15-minute break. I'm sorry if I have been a little bit too fast. I'm sure you will forgive me. Thank you.
Dear Rinpoche, we are ready to start.
Hello everyone, welcome back. Now we are going to do the remaining teaching on the 11 wholesome emotions. We have gone through the first 6 already, and now we have the last 5 to go over. So last, I think we have done the faith, sense of shame, fear of embarrassment, detachment, lack of ill will, and non-ignorance. So we actually have done first 6 already. So once you are becoming very familiar with these first wholesome emotions, and then of course you become much more non-ignorant. You are now not ignorant about what are the wholesome emotions. So now the next one is the 7th one, which is joyous effort. Joyous effort is the very industrious, very I would say creative and productive energy, which is called joyous effort. So joyous effort, it means the diligence with which your mind is very, very positive, and you are dedicated, you're diligent, and you're doing things with a lot of enthusiasm and a lot of joy, and doing with full wholehearted activity. So this joyous effort is a very good karma. When we do something with a good heart, then the thing we do has benefit to ourselves and to others. So means joyous effort means there are lots of people who are doing exact opposite. They are miserable effort. Lots of people go to work with a miserable intention. They wish they don't have to go there. They have no joy and delight in doing the job. They act like a donkey who is made to carry the heavy burden. So that is cause of stress. So joyous effort is actually having a pride and sense of purpose for what you're doing, and you love to do the thing, because when you do, you are benefiting, you're offering your service to others, you're also making your own knowledge and experience to be fruitfully utilized, because joyous effort makes you able to get things done in a very matter of quick time for yourself and for others. A person who is a diligent has achieved many things. And here all of us could think, whatever did you have succeeded in your life, it's because you have been putting your effort joyously in your study, in your training, in your actual job and duties, and then therefore you have experienced success. Not only you have experienced success, but you also have benefited others. Your parents are very inspired. They very think they're worthy of their sweat and tear, having you seeing very, very diligent and dedicated. So joyous effort is the word says it, joyous. It brings you a lot of happiness. But stress is caused by people who are doing miserably, really don't want to do it. If it wasn't for the dollar, it wasn't for the material benefit, they don't want to do it. That's not joyous effort. So the cause of stress in the modern society is a miserable effort. People do it unwillingly, unwantingly, but they have to do it because they have to survive. But in fact, they really don't want to do it. So joyous effort is exactly opposite. It is free will and a great sense of determination. It's a joyous effort, makes ourselves meaningful, to be fed and clothed every day. We're actually doing something useful with ourselves, whether it's a material, physical world, or emotional, or educational, or social, or whatever you have to do, you are really putting all your effort. So, if you have the joyous effort, there are four types of joyous effort. The first is called the armor-like joyous effort. Armor-like joyous effort means when a person, security guard, is wearing the armor, then he doesn't mind there is being a very unruly crowd or people throwing things. He's armored, so nothing will harm him. Likewise, when you have joyous effort, whether you have to go out early in the morning, late in the evening, out in the cold or in the hot, whatever you have to do, you are armored. You don't feel hot. You don't feel cold. You don't say it's too late. You don't say it's too early. Why? Because you are armored with joyous effort. So try to look at that. Second is called joyous effort of non-discouragement. Means you cannot be discouraged saying, oh, it's raining, oh, it's again, I have to go every day. You don't think like that. You are not discouraged from going every day. You have something to offer wholeheartedly for the benefit of your boss, for the benefit of the company, for the benefit of also you and your family getting a payment from that. All of this makes you feel very encouraged to do. So joyous effort of self-encouragement. You are encouraged by your own enthusiasm. You are not discouraged by a lazy friend who try to say, oh, you should not go. No, they cannot discourage you. So nobody can discourage you. Weather can't discourage you. Hardships can't discourage you. Monotonous nature of the job that you have to do doesn't discourage you, because you're a person who puts his hands up and goes there where he set out to go. It's called the joyous effort of non-discouragement. And the third is the joyous effort of application. So therefore, that's from actually doing itself. When you do, then the doing really makes you feel your time passes very quickly. You engage with your task. You're not dissipated. You're not distracted. You're not late. You are very punctual, and you really accurate. Your speed is good. Your morale is good. That's called joyous effort of application. Fourth one is joyous effort of non-satisfaction. Non-satisfaction is not negative in the sense you never think you have done enough. You're so much. You're very joyous effort that you see. Oh, I've just started. I just did a little bit. You always have more and more to do. So you're not about to break your back, so to speak. You are actually willing to lift your weight and do even more. So you don't say, I did this 10 years, like you don't say, I don't want to eat food because I've been eating 50 years. So like that, you don't say, oh, I've been doing this, early morning, or opening the door, or waiting at the door. You don't say, I've been doing this 10 years, can somebody do it? You don't. Joyous effort of a joyous effort of non-satisfaction, not complacent, saying what you've done is enough. Like the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas don't say, I've helped too many sentient beings, now I'm tired. They don't have the satisfaction. They say it's never enough, Even one sentient being is too many to ignore. So therefore you've got to stay on and hang in there to do it. So joyous effort of what we call of non-satisfaction. So that's joyous effort. That's the seventh one. Seventh one. Now, eighth one is called emotional pliancy. Emotional pliancy or emotional stability, I would say pliancy or suppleness. Supple means very, very supple, very, very flexible. Your emotions are very flexible. You're not stuck in a kind of emotion, negativity, sad, hurt, upset, lonely. You don't feel that. Your mind is very, very supple. Emotional pliancy means you're very, very serviceable. You are very, very bendable. You don't have to bend spoon, but you can bend emotions. You know, some things could upset you, but you didn't let it upset you. Flexibly change it into cause of patience and tolerance and armor-like diligence and so on. See, you are not rigid and stiff in your ways, in your views. You're able to adapt. You're able to let go some and forget some and ignore others and give in more for the benefit of peace. And that's kind of emotional suppleness. You have the amazing kind of pliancy. Pliancy had a meaning of this rapture, kind of joyous joy. You have a lot of joy to say, you can have it. Oh, you can have it. So you're not stuck. That's mine. That's mine. You don't have this kind of rigidity. You say, oh, please have it. So this is a kind of emotional pliancy. Emotional pliancy makes yourself very, very free, liberated. Your mind is very, very clear and it is light. It is light and it's delighted. It is not so miserable and tense and dense. So therefore emotional pliancy bring a lot of light-heartedness, a lot of non-attachment, remember? Non-attachment. And so that's emotional pliancy. But you have to exercise your emotion. You have to let go some emotions and replace them with other emotions. And don't get too attached to some objects and subject of emotion. And so then you will have emotional pliancy. Otherwise, you get stuck in one emotional feeling of loneliness and sadness and hurt and resentment. So emotional pliancy, you are very flexible and you're very, very agile. Mm. So that's number 9. Now the 10th one is conscientiousness. Yeah, conscientiousness. Conscientiousness also actually means heedfulness, emotional, wholesome emotion of heedfulness. Because when you're heedful, you're mindful. So mindfulness is a wholesome emotion. We can translate the word mindfulness as conscientiousness or heedfulness. So how do you know that you're mindful is you know exactly when to feel the sense of shame. You know how to fear the embarrassment, and you know how to become detached because you are very mindful. You are starting to develop attachment. You quickly have mindfulness to tell yourself how to relinquish that attachment. So this is the emotional mindfulness. The mindfulness enables you to say, don't hold there too long. Don't think about it too much. Don't talk about that too much. So you can actually detach yourself because you're mindful. So all these 11 wholesome emotions are mutually inclusive. You can practice jump, 2, 3 together, and it's more the merrier. Why? You are very, very flexible. Your emotional mind is very, very, it's not rigid and stiff. It's very supple and very pliant. So that's the number 9. Number 10 is equanimity. Equanimity means you neither attach to some things nor aversive to another. You see the futility in doing both. So you are able to remain in a very kind of troubled and a tranquilized state of mental equilibrium. So it may look like a careless or it may look like a passivity, but it's not. deep down you are very concerned about other people, but emotionally you don't show it. You maintain in the state of equanimity so that you do not rock the boat. Because if you do, then everyone in the boat will be affected. So you don't say, I love you, and oh, you upset me. You don't say these things. Even something upset you, you see it's not worthy of talking about it. And it was over 1 minute. And you don't tell people I love you, because that shows your emotion very sticky and you are holding on to things. And you don't also say I hate you. Of course you don't say I hate you. If those people who have lots of emotion equanimity, they don't say I like it, I hate it. They don't use these like and hate. They don't pass such extreme kind of judgment, extreme kind of expression. They don't say I love it or I hate it. They don't say that. It's okay, you know. Even it's a good, it's okay. Even it's a bad, it's okay. They come and go. Nothing lasts. So why bother? Why bother? I love it or I hate it. You know, they are both objects of equilibrium. So that's a very maturity. I can call this like emotional maturity gives you equanimity. Equanimity means they're not attached to one, not detached from another. You see the extremes of both attachment and aversion, so you are negotiating, adapting very carefully in a very, very middle ground. That's a middle way practice. And it's not kind of passive and inactive state. It is you are aware of the danger of attachment to this, danger of aversion to this. Because you're aware of both sides, you are not taking sides and tip the balance. You're actually able to maintain balance of a middle way and equanimity. So that's why it's called emotional positive emotion of emotional equanimity. So equanimity means that even say your friend die, you don't get upset. Even if somebody you want something or somebody gives, you don't get I'm excited. You don't show this extreme excitement of one another, and extreme kind of apathy or kind of feelingless like that. You don't show into the extreme aversion and attachment, because you have the great emotional maturity and the rapture and refinement by which it enables you to see the futility in both. Equanimity. So being able to have equanimity makes yourself see the illusory nature of all things. One moment you love somebody, another moment you not love somebody. It's not because of you. It's the nature of all things. Because of that, you don't get so much attachment to one, aversion to another. You see the futility, wastefulness in doing all the above. And hence you become like a dispassionate yogi who has faith in the benefit of equanimity rather than taking sides. So that's the 10th one. And now last one is the 11th wholesome emotion is non-violence. Yeah, you have to have this strong commitment not to do anything violent physically to anything, property, people, or anything. Even when you take the things, rubbish or something, you do it very, very gently and very carefully, so that you may not harm any living beings on the way. So it's very non-violent, physically. Verbally also, you're minding your speech so much, you don't say something extremely upsetting, extremely placating somebody. You don't go and don't play those games. You have this amazing non-violent. Non-violent means you're minimizing harm, if possible, maximizing benefit. If you maximize the benefit, then you will minimize the harm. Why? The harm is caused by violence. So the minimizer of the harm is non-violent. When you're practicing non-violent, it is definitely benefiting somebody on the Merely non-violent without any commitment to practice kindness, it's not a fulfillment. But when you are able to practice non-violence, then you're able to practice tolerance, compassion, forgiveness, and understanding and acceptance. Why? Because you are non-violent. Even if somebody is violent to you, if they speak harshly to you, if they speak very, very condescendingly to someone you love or respect, if they speak yeah, very good things about someone you hate, none of these can trigger you to react negatively or aggressively because you are non-violence. You're practicing non-violence. Non-violence means not resorting to any degree of harm. Either you're scheming nice newly or you are thinking you are retaliating. You don't do either of these two extremes. So the practice of the non-violence is not harming anyone. So, so often we are harming others and ourselves, either physically or verbally or mentally or emotionally. We are always distressed and worried, anxiety, he didn't do this to me, he might do this to me, always fear and anxiety. So you are always vulnerable to suffer and being harmed. But you knowing that to be so, you then deliberately stop the violent thought, aggressive thought, hostility, resentment altogether. So with this, we have now concluded the teaching on the 11 wholesome emotions according to Abhidharma Samuchaya. Abhidharma Samuchaya is the text in which there are 51 mental factors. So actually, these 51 mental factors is a list that is done there, short definition, but there are other list of counting the different number of mental emotions too. Anyway, so those are the 11. But if you wanted to think carefully, what constitute wholesome emotions is all the opposite of the all the opposite of 10 non-virtuous deeds. For instance, if you don't do the killing, so non-violent is not killing. Non-violent is non-killing, non-harming any living being. Not just not killing, but not harming any living being, even the smallest. You know, and not stealing. Not stealing is of course you're ashamed if you steal. You will be embarrassed if you get caught. So you have faith in not stealing. Even if you find something, you make sure the person who lost it find it, and you never keep it for yourself. So that is actually what we're talking about in how you incorporate these 11 wholesome dharma, wholesome actions in relation to 10 non-virtuous deeds. So not killing, not stealing, not engaging in harming oneself and others sexually, and knowing the limit, knowing what and where and how and appropriate and not. So therefore you are able to avoid harming each other. People are so vulnerable. People are so easy to get upset or harmed. So you therefore deliberately avoid harming. And same goes with verbally. You verbally do not tell what is not true, and you actually do not cause schism, do not cause disunity, don't plant a kind of schism and division between people or between community. So that's wholesome mental emotion. It empowers you to abstain from engaging violent physical behaviors, on abusive verbal language, untruthful, harsh words, idle gossips. You have the wholesome state of mind that actually empowers you to abstain from them altogether. Likewise, you don't do greediness. If you are greedy, you feel ashamed, You feel embarrassed if people see that you are so greedy. You deliberately know how to not to do greediness and covetousness. And also you do not harbor any ill will, any like we were talking about. So you can see the wholesome 11 wholesome emotions are actually abstaining the 10 non-virtuous deeds, 3 of the body, 4 of the speech, and 3 of the mind. So when you become very cognizant about this, you can see why Asanga put the wholesome 11 wholesome emotion in these lot and these categories, this group. But remember, when the Asanga and Asanga and Vasubandhu, would put together all this as Abhidharma texts, upper and lower. They are very, very kind of pioneer scholars based on Buddha's teaching. But when you really look at these 11 wholesome emotions, they actually lack imagination. But if you do each of them, there's nothing wrong with. They're all very full of imagination. But there must be a much more, a kind of a deeper level of looking at what are the wholesome emotions. All the abstention from the 10 non-virtuous deeds are due to wholesome emotions. See, a person who has a tendency to harm other living beings by hunting or by fishing or whatever, he will straight away believe in the law of karma, that doing such thing is not good. So he have faith in the teaching of karma. He will stop killing and hurting and hunting animals. Why? Because he has heard the teaching on the wholesome emotions, how you can cultivate physically, verbally, and mentally. So in this way, being able to know a little bit about what these 11 wholesome emotions are, we need to learn to recruit these wholesome emotions, not necessarily in a sequence like that, but always try to see what's on your mind, what is on, what's the dinner on tonight type of thing. You have to see what the hell are the mind doing. Is it doing busy churning up some destructive emotion or wholesome emotions? And when you meditate, you get to see them very clearly. You're watching the breath, but actually you're able trying to spot your thoughts. So you know exactly how to how to how to how to practice. So in this way, you know how to understand the teachings of the wholesome emotions, wholesome emotion, the 10 wholesome virtuous deeds, 3 physical deeds, 4 verbal deeds, and 3 mental deeds. If you don't believe if you don't have faith in the Dharma, you wouldn't abstain the 10 normal virtuous deeds. You wouldn't know you need to have the wholesome emotion to counteract those. But you persevere and adhere to the teachings. You believe in the Buddha. Buddha does not teach what's not true. So you believe in the truth. No, he said, therefore you have faith in the teaching. You have a sense of shame if you don't adhere to the teaching. You feel embarrassed if you don't. And as a result of that, you practice detachment, not ill will, and so on and so on. And you can see how much we are that much smart and intelligent. So with this, we have concluded, everyone. Thank you for your attention on the teachings on the 11 wholesome emotions. And now I keep receiving all these texts from Oleg saying I forgot to give the oral transmission of um, the um, the root lineage guru prayer last night, which I will read. He asked me to chant, but there's no tradition of chanting, giving oral transmission. The chanting is done when you're practicing together. So there is no need to chant. But I will now recite the oral transmission of the lineage guru prayer of the Red Tara, which some of you those of you who were there last night, of course, will receive this, but there may be some others who are not there last night. So I don't know how it will go. There are half of the people from last night are not here also. So anyway, those of you, for the benefit of those of you who are here, and the persistence of our Sakya friends, I will definitely do the lung here as requested. Thank you. Namo ayala egedan lodan jinge chukum dadam yeganan dan rawa gunje danan tam je gedo dage je don do wange drama marme günde sije gele chabe she jawa ju so to ambo ju poma dronze ma nga rawa do je dan bada bare lo za ju jawa je zonam zamana lo so de rawa je sa je bene da sha je 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 so Jazalong mambo kejo yende chida singa ba singa yende no so ande luba so na mar den yanze wo rawa ju ne Sonam Janzada and Jenja Salon Jabaya, Conjo London Lazo, and the Sing Sanji Sing and Namgabazabo, Chola Dojan, Kirab Denza, no one Moja Baja, Gunganam Jana Lazo, and the Namgasan, Kungaluda, Tinja, the Chijanza, Gungazambo, Sunan Bazava, Zana Lazo, and the Zayulaman and the Dranzema, Yumapa, Wangan Ramarlonya Nivet, Tungurji, Nujirama, Bado, Naja, Aja Sejangula Jevan, Rimja, Damalaya, Dongwayan, number new, Ngari Dronza, Ngari, and Zimbada, Kamsachi, Yawa, Trenza, Tajikunja, Lamitu Jeta, Tajiwanju. Chosen Dembada, Taji Pamba, Parmesan Laje, Taji Jazu, Dogunje, Jabadian, Tupten, Kenjin, Sudan Bazang, Le. Tsundi gadin wagin susidi tibage. The author of this is a Ngorpa abbot called Wagin de Susidi, means Ngawan Legdrup. So here concludes the oral transmission. So with this, we'll conclude here, everybody. Thank you very much. Now we're going to do the dedication merits. Everyone, thank you for all of you who have translated, and all of you have really diligently listened, and that these teachings, through the good real effort of Sakya friends, that we all have this opportunity to uh, pay attention and mindfully giving 3 hours tonight is a very good wholesome, not just emotion, but wholesome deeds. Listening to Dharma is one of the 10 wholesome activities. Translating is one of them, and meditating on them is another. So we have been doing very, very good. So we have very good many merits, and we offer these for the peace and the understanding in the world. May all the conflict and the violence stop. May people who misunderstand each other we reconcile. May they have faith in the teachings of the Buddha, and so therefore you are able to distinguish facts between fiction and fact, and so you're actually believing, having faith in the Dharma is not a loss, you know. But if you believe, if you faith in the people, you are completely investing wrongly. Buddha never said have faith in people. People have karma, they have affliction, they have many things, stresses of their karma. You can't think they're going to lead you anywhere. Real thing, faith is in the Dharma, and then you should have that distinction. But the faith in the Dharma should not be exchanged with faith with people or institutions. This will disappoint you. Faith in Dharma will never let you down. So that's really very, very good. So Buddha said the faith is like the forerunner of all good deeds. And joyous effort is which keeps the kind of middle action, that it keeps you dedicated. Mindfulness is the leg, which actually does that, actually walking. So all of these 11 wholesome emotions we discussed tonight are very, very conducive to the benefit and happiness and progress and success of our right living. So with this in mind, we dedicate the merit. Thank you very much, everybody, Om Bade Mere Mere Hoga Da Deva Dege Honez Me I Libere from the ocean of Sinners Herena Mayana Dij whatever merit I have begas delevas Jehoda Mayana Dij courage Majushnuod as I'm Trabara following all the example I should get all the matter excellent body jada ever where another where has been born freely without generation.
Thank you very much,
Thank
dear
you.
Rinpoche. On behalf of Sakya friends, I express deepest gratitude to Rinpoche for today's teaching. Many thanks to our translators who translated to 9 languages today. People from our 60 countries join Sakya Friends live stream this weekend. I would like to remind you that text in different languages can be found in the Zoom chat now and for next 15 minutes. About next event, in the email with Zoom link for this Red Tara Empowerment and today's teaching, you have received the schedule of next Rinpoche's events on October 28 and 29, including the empowerment of the embodiment of wealth, Yellow Jambhala, and teaching on negative emotions. Thank you so much, dear Rinpoche. Thank you to everyone.